Hello everyone, this is Sunniva and you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and welcome to another Every Game in the Collection video. Today we're starting off with a game that is fast and fun. It's Shadow Rivals. I like the art style, like the setting of the game a lot. It's like the anime artwork, and the setting is that you're trying to rob these locations. And the way you're trying to rob them are that you play cards from your hand onto a location, and you see how much like influence is required for the place to be robbed, or like how many persons, and when the robbery is triggered, then you want to be the person with the highest influence there. All of your per player cards have special abilities that can get triggered when you place them or when the robbery is happening. You can also get these like special shiny cards that you can get from your own cards being upgraded when you make a robbery. So this is a fast game. It plays like in 30 to 45 minutes, and there's a really tactical game of when to hop on a robbery like last minute, or when to try to outmaneuver the other players with playing a card that triggers a robbery faster than expected, or would gain you bonuses when a robbery is happening. So a really neat game, Shadow Rivals. Next up we have this wooden box. This is junk art, and this is a dexterity game where you're trying to build a certain tower, or the highest tower. Trying to build a tower out of junk pieces, wooden junk pieces, and you're trying to do these missions, and you're trying to build it the fastest without knocking it over, so you score the most points. It's a super fun game, and it's just always enjoyable when we take it out to play it. Next up we have a classic. This is Dominion, and Johannes absolutely loved Dominion. It's a really cool deck building game, and this is a classic for so many reasons. It's fast to get into. It has endless expansions and variabilities. You have basically, it's a super classic deck building game where you have these cards that has a value that you can buy. And you also can play cards to give you more like powerful money cards. And when you buy new cards, they give you special abilities on your turn, like draw more cards, do this, do that. And what you're essentially trying to do is acquire enough money to buy some victory point cards. And there's a lot of different gameplay if you add some more expansions and more advanced cards, so it's just so much and a lot of fun. And when you're into playing this game more regularly, and I've played it a lot and playing with especially fewer people, then it goes by so fast, and it's a really fast-paced game and it's really fun. We have a copy of Love Letter over here. It's not open, and this is a classic version of it, but we also have one, I think we've already talked about it, yes, with another art style which I like better. We have Galaxy Trucker Missions expansion over here. We haven't opened it, it's still in the shrink. I like the thought of playing it, but we don't play Galaxy Trucker that often, so I don't think it's going to be played that much. But if I'm playing Galaxy Trucker again with some players that have is familiar to the concept, I would definitely break out missions. Then we have this little tiny game here that it doesn't have like anything on this side. This is High Treason, the trial of Louis Riel. And this is two sides of a trial, basically. So one player, this is a two-player game, one player is playing the prosecution that's trying to get Louis convicted, and the other player is playing the defense, trying to plead for insanity. and you want to sway the jurors in your direction and want to exclude the jurors that are bad for your case, and also want to lock the jurors that are onto agreeing with you to staying on your side. So we've only played it once, I think, or twice, and it was interesting and intriguing. Really interesting concept and a good way of, I don't know, simulating a trial in a sense. Over here we have Age of Steam, and this is basically a pick up and deliver train game. We have this now in a much more beautiful version, but this is the old one and it still works great. This is a little punishing, so you can't go bankrupt during your first turn. But with all the expansions and modules with the different maps of this game, you have endless possibilities if you're into train games. You're building tracks, upgrading your trains, picking up resources, delivering them to cities. Then we have Lagoon. This is a game that I don't remember anything of. I remember that you have some multi-use cards, and I think that is what I like most about this game. And you also want to get enough resources to fill up the market. When I'm thinking about this game, I'm only thinking of No Siesta, or No Siesta is the name, right? The little roll and write game that is based on Lagoon, and that is great. So I imagine Lagoon is great too. I think I've played it once. I think I liked it, but I haven't played it again. This should be on the shelf of shame because I really need to give this game another go. Then we have Energy Empire, or the Manhattan Project Energy Empire. This is a worker placement game, and the cool thing about this worker placement game is, first off, when you're placing a worker on a worker placement action space is the word I'm looking for, then you have to have the tallest stack of workers to do that action. So the first time you're placing a worker on an action space, there's no one there, so you can place just one worker. But if you want to go where another player has gone before you, then you have to have two workers on top of each other, and you only have so many workers. And what kind of workers you get is also based on the dice that you roll. And to do the most actions and be the most efficient and do the most powerful actions and getting the most workers, you have to have some dice that also gives you a lot of pollution. And pollution in this game is bad. It gives you negative points. You don't want pollution, so that is the balance. Do I want to be kind to the planet, or do I want to get points? So you have to try to get a lot of points without getting pollution, or just screw it and go for the a high points to negate the negative points you're getting from the pollution. Here we have an expansion for a game that I really want to play. We haven't finished this expansion. This is the LA Game Crimes expansion for the detective game from Portal Games. I love detective. It's an absolute wondrous co-op game, story game where you're detectives and you're trying to solve cases. And in the base box that we have played, we played to this storyline with an overarching plot, and also the single cases are really interesting. And when we began this, I was really into it, but then we moved and a lot of stuff happened in our lives, so we had to postpone this and we haven't gotten it played yet. Then we have Dixit. This is an classic that is in all the bookstores in Norway. Great to play with families. You have hand of cards where you have these abstract motives, like fairy tale, really creative. They're beautiful, and one player is going to say a word or a sentence or a sound or whatever, and then he's going to play, so no one can see, a card that matches that description. And the other players are going to also play one of their cards that best matches the thing that the main player has said, face down. It's all getting shuffled, and then you have to guess what is the real card that was played. And then you get points according to how many guessed your card and how many didn't guess the right card. Next up we have Pappy Winchester. We picked that up at Essen 2019, and I didn't think I was going to like this game because this is a pure auction game. All this game is auction after auction after auction. It's really lucky. It's a light game, and this is my main problem with it. You have this really like jumbo sized for a board game, so it's real life sized money, yeah. And so that is really cool that you can like sit under the table and count what you have. And when an auction is held, you're trying to win that, but not for more money than it is worth. That is common auction style game. That is common for auctions, but the money that you use gets divided amongst the other players. So that is what I really like, is that when you sit and just wait and don't win an auction, you're still winning some money that you can save up for later and you put to good use. So you're not losing an auction. When you're losing an auction, you're not necessarily losing a lot of money. I'm saying stuff now. Yeah. What I don't like in the game is the randomness in how the lots are auctioned, because you're all bidding for all of these lots, and you have some personal goals that make some of the lots more appealing to you than others. And if the 4 lots that I'm most interested in comes right after each other, then I might have used up my money on the 2 first lots, and then somebody can be lucky and have all their lots like evenly positioned throughout the game, so they only can like always can save up enough money. But this game is so fast paced and so whimsical, so I'm okay with it. The next game here is Blue Lagoon. I've played this once and I don't remember a lot, but it's like a light family game. You are playing these travelers that are settling on these lands, these islands. So you one after one are putting out your villagers, settlers, and first you have to place in the water with a boat, and then you can place like up on the islands itself, trying to collect resources, trying to be positioned in a way that scores you enough points. And then when after the first scoring, then you remove all your dudes from the map, and then you have to move like place out everything again, but now it's depending on how you have placed your villages from the first round. So a really neat game. The next game is Minerva, and I like Minerva because it's so unique. I can't get a hold of this game. I'm not that good at it. You're placing these building tiles in your own tableau, kinda, and you want to make rows of these buildings, and to get the bonus that is on the building, you have to activate it. And the way you activate it is that you place an activation building at the end of the line that you created, and then you activate every card tile in that line row. But then you've blocked the opportunity to activate it that way again. So then you can place one at the other side, but then you completely blocked that row. So you kind of have to then try to build up and down and trying to find a way to get the most use of the buildings that you place, and also activate the things at the right time so that you get the most advantage out of them, and try to take advantage of the system so that you get the most points. I'm not good at this game. I need to play it again to get my revenge, but all in all, a solid game, and it's really innovative. The next game is Sheriff of Nottingham, and that is a game that I absolutely adore. It's a bluffing game, so I'm really bad at bluffing games, I think. But in this game, you're all playing, like, taking turns on playing the sheriff, and the other players are the merchants that are crossing the border into Nottingham, trying to bring in the goods and selling them at the market. So what you're doing in this game is that the merchants are packing their goods into a little pouch. Then they're handing over the pouch to the sheriff and declaring, like, I have 3 chickens in this bag, or I have 4 bread, or 5 apples. And then the sheriff, like in a time limit, has to decide if he believes them or not. Because if he doesn't believe them, he can open up the bag and check what they actually got with them. Maybe they have contraband, maybe they have 2 bread and 3 chickens instead of 5 chickens. And then the players have to pay a fee, or if it's contraband, they can't even have it with them anymore. But if they actually were telling the truth, then the sheriff gets penalized for opening the bag and distrusting them. And while the sheriff is deciding which bag to open, it's a really interesting role-playing, bluffing, manipulating, negotiating process. I can be like, oh, if you don't open my bag, then you will get 2 coins. And another person can say, well, if you open Sunniva's bag instead, I will give you 3 coins. And it's really a lot of cool things going on, and you can bluff, double bluff, and just trying to not get caught by the sheriff, and sometimes like double trick him to actually paying you the penalization if he decides to open something that you were truthful about. This is Churro, the game of the path. And this is a game that we have like brought to the table at the end of game night or between some games. It's up to 8 players. You can play it with a lot of people, and you're all these dragons with little tokens that are trying to survive the longest on the player board. So on your turn, you're playing a path tile, and you're moving accordingly to how that moves. And on your path tile, it isn't just one path, there are multiple paths. So when you eventually meet other players' played tiles and collide into the other paths, you're trying to stay alive on the actual board and not being like flown with a path outside the board. So a neat game. It's a nice filler. I just think it's cozy, but a little tension as well, trying to survive. Then we have Stone Age. This is one of the first games that was like this Euro game that got us like further into the hobby. It's a worker placement game, and I think the main reason is because it's, yeah, I think the main reason it's on the shelf is because it has a nostalgic value to us. It's still a good game. It's still a really nice gateway into Euro games, because the concepts of the game is really simple. But we don't play it anymore, like at all, because there's so many others that are amazing of the games that we have. So this isn't that enjoyable for us anymore. Finally, we have Lada Chivadel's Mage Knight. This has been played, I think, by Johannes like once. I haven't played it yet, so I can't comment at all on this. I've heard that it has to be played, so I kind of want to play it. So maybe at the Elder's Home, maybe I should put this at the Shelf of Shame. I'm not sure if I need to play this, but I like the thought of it though. So this was another shelf. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I'm Sunniva and you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and bye bye.